Welcome to the Last Beer Show. What's up, Jason?
Yeah. Hey, how's it going, Wayne?
Good.
Good.
How was your month?
The month was good. It was good. It's a challenging month.
We don't have to after party if you got too many feels.
Nah, it's good.
It's okay.
It was a challenging month on the home front, but we pushed through it and we're making it out on the other side. So it's pretty good.
They all find their ways.
Yeah. What about you?
It was a really great month. I'm
Yeah?
not gonna lie, I've had a good month. This is we're like yin and yang. It's like the polar opposite of your month. That was my month.
Well, I was going to say, we switched months.
Except the last couple of weeks.
The last month, you were on a down month and I was
Yeah.
on a good month.
Yeah.
And then we switched.
One of these times we're gonna have a good month at the same time.
Yeah.
And just imagine
Serendipity.
how rosy this show would get.
Yeah. I bet you'll gain like 20,000 followers. I could be wrong, but I don't
Either
think
that
so.
or 20,000 pounds from all the beer I would drink for
true.
being so gleeful.
Not opposed to.
So gleeful.
Not opposed
We have a
to.
guest today.
We do have a guest.
I want you to
today.
introduce him.
Yeah, we have a guest today. So the guest is Greg Bowman, who is a beer writer for CNN. Say hello, Greg.
Hello, Greg. How you doing? What's up, Jason? How are you?
Greg is happy to join us this month, and we're going to be talking about some fun stuff. So we're happy to have Greg. We've been featuring some guests the past couple months, and really enjoyed that, getting some different perspectives and different ideas and things from different people. And
Yeah, we want to keep that going. We're in talks with a few different people to continue the conversation around diversity.
Yep.
From both a gender and a racial standpoint. And we also want to bring in people from different industries, certainly that write for different publications and do and contribute to beer culture in different and varying ways in order to bring different perspectives to the table. And that's why I think it's valuable having Mr. Greg Bowman with us today, because he writes for CNN.
Yeah, CNN.
World's news leader.
The world's news leader.
And I'll give you. I guess I'll go ahead and give you a sneak peek. This coming week, we're also going out of the area a little bit to record the next podcast with a young gentleman who has muscular dystrophy. Is a huge craft beer guy and writes reviews, posts reviews on social media. But just to get his perspective on craft beer from where he's at, because he doesn't really get out a lot, and it's interesting to see what he views the craft beer community as someone who doesn't really get out to the community a lot.
It's a fantastic story. I can't wait.
So
I can't wait to share.
So we're going to be doing
that.
that this week, and along those lines of diversity and sharing lots of different voices of craft beer. So we're happy to have you on, Greg.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited.
Absolutely.
You want to talk a little bit about what we're going to drink this
Well, let's back up a little bit. We usually talk about the last few bottles we've had that are of interest since our last airing.
Yep.
And I know, probably as well as all 5 people who are listening know, that you were drinking some interesting things.
Yeah, absolutely. We did a giant prairie share. So we did a giant prairie beer share with almost every prairie beer made. We ended up drinking
At Prairie Artisan Ales?
Yeah, Prairie Artisan Ales in Oklahoma. And we ended up drinking somewhere close to 50 plus bottles of beer. Greg was there, actually.
I was.
What?
I've been saving a birthday bomb that I've had, and it happened to be close to my birthday, so I brought that and had a few birthday bombs.
It was actually.
Nice.
Yeah, Greg's birthday was yesterday, so
Oh, wow. Happy birthday,
Greg.
Thank you.
We actually took him up to Cherry Street, Cherry Street Brewing Co-op, which actually just won.
It's not far away from here.
It's not far away from here. It just won number 1 brewery in the nation in the U.S. Beer Open this year. So
in the open category, right?
What's that?
The open category?
Yeah, in the open category, right. Yeah. So it's the number 1 brewery.
Yeah.
I think
They're only
Cigar
the best.
City was number 3. It's kind of neat.
Yeah.
They're awesome, and they're doing amazing work,
Yeah.
which is great.
Yeah, never been there, so we went up there and checked it out. It was a good variety of beers and some good IPAs.
Yep.
Cool.
Yeah, very impressive.
So we had the Prairie Share, and then we drank a whole bunch of extra stuff too. We drank a bunch of fresh Northeast IPAs, which we talked about last month, and then some really great beers from Little Cottage Brewery. And then also a couple of nights ago, we did a little Mexican cake, Westbrook Mexican cake, versus Funky Buddha Mexican coffee bottle comparison. The Mexican coffee from Funky Buddha is aged in Jose Cuervo barrels, and it's a really, really interesting beer. So those are some interesting beers I've had, although I will say that Thursday, Greg and I actually had the opportunity to go to Creature Comforts in Athens and drank some fresh automatic one day off the line, which is a really good beer from them. It's a pale ale, comes out once a year.
Yeah, one of my favorites that they do.
Yeah, really, really good. And so that's what we've had to drink recently.
Cool.
What about you?
I did get into the obligatory Omegang Game of Thrones bottle because, to celebrate the comeback of
Beer is coming.
one of my favorite television programs. I got into a couple bottles from the Allagash Barrel Program. One in particular, the Wild Ale, the Uncommon Crow, aged on blackberries. It is really fantastic.
Allagash kills those beers.
And I have a soft spot for Rodenbach, Belgian brewery.
As do I.
I don't think they get quite enough credit. Well, they have this series called Fruitage in these tiny little cans that look like Red Bull cans. And they're really light, and it's like 9 or 10% actual fruit juice mixed in with a lambic style fruit beer, and they're so good. Oh my gosh, they're so good.
Yeah, I need to look for those next
I was
time.
surprised, and they weren't particularly expensive either. I mean, they were really good. I was like, okay, I'm going to get back into those. A couple of the things that were really pretty solid. A couple things from Stillwater, the Insetto, which we're going to open tonight, which is their Italian plum, and their The Cloud, which is their double IPA, I think, or their New England style. It's like a real pillowy IPA.
I was going to ask if it was cloudy.
Lots of
the name of the cloud.
It wasn't as cloudy as you would think. Like, it's not as cloudy as many of the run-of-the-mill New England IPAs. And we, talked at length about those in the last episode. But I was expecting more. I did get into some trouble with the Evil Twins Molotov cocktail. That is an intense beer drinking experience. That thing is
it's easy to do with some of those Evil Twin beers.
Oh my gosh, it is rich. I think it's like 13%. 13.3. It's a triple IPA technically. And yeah, all I can say is split that can with somebody because it is intense. It was so rich. It's one of those things I would probably not queue up on the regular, but to try it was fun.
Did you finish it?
I finished a half a can twice.
Oh.
I shared.
There you go. You shared it with yourself.
I shared. Well, I got done with band practice on Saturday night, and I got home at what would be considered a reasonable hour in rock and roll time.
Yeah,
which is about 10:30 p.m. So what am I going to do? I'm going to finish binge watching that HBO series on Dr. Dre and Jimmy Iovine. The last 2 episodes of that, and drink a bunch of things I probably didn't need to get into. I'm probably far too old to behave that way, but that's how it went.
Yeah.
So, this is August and we're in the heat of summer. So we're going to talk a little bit about some of these summer beers and styles that are considered summer beers, in general, in a broad sense. Even if they're not considered summer beers, they are at least good to consume during, outdoor events or at the beach, or, you're in a state park or something. Hopefully it's in a can. But, these beers, they're usually a little lighter in gravity. They usually have a bit different flavor profile. You're not going to stand in the sun and be like, milk was a bad choice. Chugging on a chocolate stout.
I can't believe I drank this Black Tuesday.
I saw somebody on
Take it to the
Facebook
beach.
at the beach holding up some 12% stout. And I was like,
That
I
was-
can't think of anything less appealing in that very instance.
Actually, so when I was in Jamaica, I drank a Pirate Noir from Prairie, which is their Pirate Noir aged in Jamaican rum barrels. Because in my mind, it was like, where better to drink a Jamaican rum barrel stout than in Jamaica? And you're right, it's a 13%
it's like thick and
stout.
sweet, and it's 100 degrees
It was
out. You're
like-
like, this is a bad idea.
I drank like about half of it, and then I was like, Yeah, I think I'm going to go for a pina colada.
Actually,
It did make for a great photo, though.
how that turned out made perfect sense.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
yeah, I mentioned we have the Stillwater Insetto. We have a Three Taverns Rapturous. We have an Evil Twin IPA. What's that one called?
It's in there.
You know how we do, or
Yeah, you know how we
do
do it.
what we do, or something like that.
Yep.
We can pull that
We
up.
got a NoDa Brewing's NoDajito,
NoDajito,
which is mint and lime wheat beer. We also have Creature Comforts Tritonia, which is their cucumber and lime Gose. And then we have the world famous Westbrook key lime
key
Gose.
lime pie Gose from
Yep,
Westbrook,
key lime pie
which is
Gose.
like liquid dessert.
Yep.
Absolutely.
But it's like salty enough to like not turn you away.
Yeah.
It's really good.
It's
I've
like a
had couple
margarita,
cans of it.
really.
It kind of is like a margarita, yeah.
Yeah, we got margaritas and mojitos over there.
Right. Yeah. Well, I mentioned like the lighter fruit beer. Certainly, it's low gravity, but there are other styles as well that kind of fit on this into like the summery beer theme. And usually, I'm finding lately that it's really like, for me, it's turning into a tart and a salty thing. There's something about being outside and getting into not hops, not chocolate, not coffee. It's like all of a sudden I'm like, give me these Goses with that salty finish and light ABV where you can just have a nice conversation or grill something or smoke something all day and just get in a couple of these cans and share it with people and have a nice time and like not get all sideways by 5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's the Berliner Weiss. There are certainly lots of lagers we can talk about, both German and American, and a lot of the Witbier styles, the white beer, wheats, wits, they come in. Even though the flavor profile doesn't always vary a whole lot, certainly on the American side of them, they definitely are all part of that kind of area. Like the hefeweizen. I have a good hefeweizen story.
Yeah.
So what do you, Greg, what are you getting into in the summer?
I mean, I like IPAs all year long and like the session IPAs and I'm not a big sour or the Gose is good beach beer. But the watermelon beers are good kind of when you're grilling out.
Yeah, some of those are really refreshing.
Yeah.
I'm surprised
the Hell or
the
High
first couple
watermelon
ones.
is always
That's a good one.
always have it in the fridge all summer long.
Yeah. They never
And,
seem to go over the top with it,
No.
which is
It's
good.
probably the most balanced one still. It's probably the first one.
I think it's the first one I ever had. I was like, watermelon, what?
Yeah. And there's, all the big ones kind of other breweries do other iterations of it, but I think it's still the
Some
go-to.
of them taste fresher than others, but in general, that's a really cool
Yeah.
style that I think surprises people when they try it. And they're like, wait, this is really good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And some local Cherry Street does one that I thought was very good. And Emergency Watermelon Drinking Beer was also another-
Wild Heavens,
Wild Heavens,
emergency
yeah.
drinking beer is their, it's an ale, even though it kind of acts a lot like a lager,
Yeah.
but it's really one of my go-tos.
Yeah, they have a watermelon version.
It's great. Yeah. So, and they actually, they prepare all the watermelon in-house by hand.
Yeah.
It's pretty wild.
Cherry Street has the Summer Fling blonde ale with watermelon.
Yeah.
And then, of course, there's 21st Amendment's Hell or High Watermelon.
Yep. Yeah, we
There's a
mentioned
lot
that
of them
one.
in that
It's good.
same thing.
Yeah. Yeah, those are really good. Those are cool.
I think I just saw that Founders is releasing a watermelon ale called Striped Zebra or something like that.
What do you want to get into?
So we've been drinking Creature Comforts Duende double IPA, and we're gonna move into the
Let's get into Insetto.
Insetto from Stillwater. They call it a wild ale, but it's a dry hop sour ale,
I got these from a growler shop.
which is great. It's these little plastic bottles.
It's a 16-ounce bottle, but it's good to...
Yeah, they're great when you don't want to have to buy a full growler. You don't have to want to pay for another growler.
the color's really great.
Mm-hmm.
Very fair pink.
Yeah, thank you, sir.
Now, it's Italian plum, so I don't know that I could tell an Italian plum. I don't think I've ever had a plum and gone, I think that's an Italian
Yeah, I was
plum.
thinking it tastes
So
more
I
like a French plum, but I could be wrong.
I'm not, that well versed in my produce international.
I don't know that I ever want to get
International
good
plum.
enough to be able to tell the difference between an Italian plum and a French plum.
Are you a plumber now?
Yeah, exactly. I'm a super taster plumber.
A super plumber taster. So
Yeah, it's tart. It's very
it's a little tart.
and
I like it. It's good. It's kind of like a
salty. for sure.
It's kind of like a Gose.
It is kind of like a
probably,
Gose.
which is their intent. Which is traditionally 50% wheat. I don't know that everyone sticks to that. Certainly not in the States. They don't have to. Usually it's salty because of the water, but oftentimes they'll add some salt to it in order to kind of hit on the flavor for the style. And they a lot of times they have coriander in them just to kind of give it that kind of like acidity and that herbal flavor.
Yeah, this one definitely tastes like it has some salt in it. Like the aftertaste is kind of leaves you a little dry.
I like it. It's good.
It's good though. I could definitely see how this would be refreshing. And these are great, inexpensive cans for the summer. I just looked it up on Craft Shack, and the cans are running $2.99 a can. So these are very affordable cans too.
Yeah, I think they come in a 4-pack, and I think the 4-pack was $9. I want to say $9 or $10, which is average.
Yeah,
for a good 4-pack, you're going to usually pay $9 or $10.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Some of them, the Evil Twins got that partnership with. They're doing the pink lemonade and the lemonade series.
Yeah, I saw that.
Where they add lemon to basically an IPA. They're really good. I've had them, but those 4-packs are like $15.
Yeah, I saw that today.
I'm like, that's bar prices.
Yeah.
It's pub prices now. I mean, I get it. It's probably got there's 2 breweries involved, and it's probably got real fruit and there's real costs associated with that. It's just shocking sometimes.
Yeah, so
I want them to get theirs. That's cool.
So what do you think the average limit is for you for a 4-pack?
Depends on the beer. No, it depends on the reputation of the brewer and the beer. I'm not going to there's no dollar. I'm not paying more than $12 for a 4-pack. No. It depends.
I just spent $24 for a 4-pack of the Tired Hands double strawberry milkshake.
See?
That is very true.
I thought
those are tall cans. Those are tall.
They're
boys.
right.
tall
They're
one.
right. It's not a 12-ounce can. And you get a limit of like 2 4-packs, and people are spending $124 for a case of beer.
Yeah, that's a lot.
That's a lot of money.
Beer.
It's a lot of money. So there's
Plus, you wait 2.5 hours in line.
You got to save it.
That's part of the enjoyment of the experience is to soak up
I
the
love the way
sun.
you use that word, enjoyment of the
Soak up the
experience.
sun with your some of
Standing
your
out in
best
the sun,
friends.
waiting 2.5 hours for a
We
beer.
used to wait in line
Winding
for an
around the
iPhone. It's kind of the same thing.
Yeah, exactly.
I rarely do that sort of thing. It's like, I kind of don't do the hype, but I was in town and there, and like, why not? And
As someone who's already partaken of 3 of those cans, I'm not complaining at all.
Jason shamelessly chases the hype. He is the whale hunter. Crikey, here he is in his natural habitat.
I mean, I like the thrill of the hunt.
Sure you do.
That's what makes it fun.
I'm less of a hunter, but and probably a little bit cheap, but yeah, there are times when I absolutely go and wait in line and go get the hype up beer. Oh yeah, absolutely. Lots of times.
yeah, I'm like a sea lion or whatever that just follows behind and gets the chum afterwards, like some like the drip,
Yeah, exactly.
Usually with
the
me,
whale will be up here and I'll just get what's left. And
Usually with me,
hope it comes down.
it's local. Usually it's the rare limited release locals that I chase down with a little more energy than say something from out of state. I'm not sure why. I have no reason. I have no excuse.
Are you a trader?
Maybe. No, I don't trade online much at all. Although I've offered a couple of trades. Like I wanted to trade a couple of those Molotov cocktails.
Yeah. Nobody wanted them.
That was a $15 4-pack. I still got one or two. I don't know.
Problem is you can get those pretty much anywhere.
Yeah, it's not hard to get.
Yeah.
Well, Evil Twin, I mean, they're a brewery that has really strong distribution, right?
Yep. Very strong.
Well, we say that it's available in our area. There may be someone in Iowa going, "What you talking about?" I don't think they sound like that, actually. I think that was Georgia outside the perimeter. That wasn't even anywhere near Iowa.
Make it.
Fake it till you make it.
in Iowa.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes, that's hard to know sometimes when we talk about like distribution is something that's tough to step in without stepping in it because you don't know. I don't know where any, like, a lot of breweries, even some of the bigger ones, don't distribute to all 50 contiguous, right?
Oh no, yeah.
Like maybe Stone, doubtful Dogfish Head. Like,
no, they're not everywhere. Yeah,
they're not in all 50 contiguous, right?
I
So
bet
like
you,
I don't know
like
which
New
ones they're
Belgium.
not
I bet
in.
New Belgium, Sierra Nevada.
New Belgium.
They
Sam
are.
Adams. Sam Adams.
Yeah, but they've built multiple breweries. That's kind of another. That's the next level, isn't it? That's
I would
next
say
step.
Sierra Nevada,
Sierra-
Sam Adams, and New Belgium.
Maybe
New Belgium.
Anchor. Maybe Anchor.
Maybe Harpoon.
I'd be surprised. That's actually not a very big brewery.
Harpoon?
Yeah,
I think of them as a bigger brewery.
I think they're about the size of Sweetwater.
Don't they have multiple, like Windsor, Vermont, or something, New Hampshire, and then there's another one in Vermont.
Yeah, in New England. Yeah.
New England, yeah.
Well, they have like the brew pub
In Boston.
Like, in Boston. They get the
Yeah, I've been
brewery.
there. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a cool spot too.
That's cool.
Really cool.
That was the first time I'd ever seen a mechanical growler fill. Like, you just put it in, puts this thing in. It was like, wow, this is like Tron for beer. It was awesome. Yeah, but they have a great brew pub there in Boston.
So what flavors you usually? I can't speak all of a sudden. What flavors do you usually reach for, Jason?
I think the things that I most reach for are like Belgian wit beers, a lot of hefeweizens, those real banana wheat hefeweizens.
Hefes are real good.
Yeah, it's such a great classic style, especially when it gets hotter. I love the watermelon beers like Hell or High Watermelon from 21st Amendment.
Yeah.
That Summer Fling from Cherry Street. I brew wheat ale, a watermelon wheat ale, usually during the summer. And those are kind of my go-to styles. Although, I mean, I drink stouts year round, so I don't really.
You are a stout guy.
I kind of I'll tell you that last snow from Funky Buddha with the chocolate and coconut is a pretty tasty beer, even when it's 100 degrees.
Especially if you're, in the air conditioning.
Yeah, exactly.
Dessert.
Yeah, it's
Dessert.
like dessert.
Oh yeah, dessert any day. Chocolate
Dessert
cake or a stout. Chocolate cake or a stout. Can I get a chocolate cake flavored stout?
Chocolate
Yeah,
cake
exactly.
stout.
Best of both worlds.
Yeah, Imperial Mexican Biscotti Cake Break,
That one's good.
which is a great beer from
That is
Evil
good.
Twin and
That's the
Westbrook.
maple one.
No, I have the maple Imperial Biscotti bourbon maple syrup barrel aged there.
Mm-hmm.
But then if you look to the left of that, I have the Evil Twin Westbrook Imperial Mexican Biscotti Cake Break, which is a blend of the recipe from Biscotti Break and Mexican cake.
I'm seeing Biscotti break all over the place lately.
Biscotti Break is
Those
a
cans are
classic
all
beer.
over the place.
It's
And they're
such
really
a great
good.
beer. They're it's I want to say it's underrated, but people that know.
The people who know.
They know. Yeah, so we just opened up this Three Taverns Rapturous, which is a kind of a plum sour, a red
Did you?
raspberry
Oh, yeah.
plum sour
I am-
raspberry, I think.
I'm familiar with that one intimately. It is one of my favorites.
Evidently, I've been saying it wrong all this time. I call it Rapturous.
Oh no! You
So it's
say that.
Rapturous.
You can't say that. Yeah, it is a they
That is
call
so
it American
wonderfully
Wild
offensive.
Ale. It's aged in fresh raspberries.
Now I'll buy it.
Yeah, they rest it on raspberries, right?
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yeah, with lacto
Lacto what?
lactobacillus.
Lactobacillus.
Yes. It's good. This is what I
Really
mean by
good.
like
Lots
a
of raspberry in
refreshing
that
beer. Like this is the kind
Yeah.
of beer that you want.
It's got that acidity that I really like in a fruit beer that kind of like makes it juicy. Like it should behave, not that they should, that's presumptuous, but I would say that I like when they behave on the tongue in a similar way that like a real juice does, that with an acidity and that kind of like bubbles around a little bit and you get it back there.
Yeah, but the
I
very
love that.
front end of this is all lacto. Like the very front end of this is all lactobacillus. It's just like it's kind of overwhelming, and then you get like the really good raspberry flavor.
Once you're into it, like if you got a whole glass of it and you
Mm-hmm.
get into it later on, like the lactobacillus kind of dies away and it's almost all raspberry. And which
Yeah.
is that? I mean, raspberries are really tart.
Yeah, this is made with a wheat and pilsner base, so it's pretty light as it is too. I think it's 5%.
Yeah, I think it's the base kind of like, certainly from a mouthfeel standpoint, reminds me a lot of like a Berliner Weiss.
Mm-hmm.
which has a lot of wheat in it.
Yeah. This reminds me a lot of Creature Comforts Athena Paradiso.
Yeah, very similar.
Raspberry.
Very similar beer. So they make a lot more of it, so it's not as... The Paradiso, they can't make a lot of it.
Yeah.
So people go out of their way. So Greg, tell me about some of the things that you've been writing for CNN.
Well, recently there's not a whole lot. There's not a lot of real estate for any beer articles on CNN right now. We're kind of preoccupied with more current events.
I can't imagine what will be happening
Can't either, actually.
in the world.
So
Russia.
there's a lot of other, things that take up the real estate. That
Sure.
Trying to get a story out there about craft beer and kind of there's less of when I first started doing it. We had a thing called what was it? No, I'm just drawing a blank. Etocracy. Sorry, CNN Etocracy on the website, and they were very open to it was a food blog, so you could just kind of write about craft beer.
Yeah, that
and
would
they
be
were
pretty
very
open-ended
receptive.
on a food blog.
Yeah, so they did wine and food, and then there was a space for craft beer there. So you would do much like the summer beers, like here's 12 summer beers that you would like. Or when I did it, I tried to do just kind of feature stories about hops, like wet hop ales or women brewers, and just trying to do some different stories.
Cool.
And, but keep plugging away, trying to pitch some stuff and
Right.
see what sticks eventually.
How's that changed? Like the things that they would let through the editorial filter some time ago, because you've been there, a while, like 20 years.
20
you said,
years,
right?
yeah.
So
Yeah.
the things that they would let through the editorial filter and process some time ago versus now, craft beer as not just as a marketplace, but as a culture has really shifted a lot in that period of time. So how has that changed what you were, say, interested in writing and in what would go through then versus now?
I think because it wasn't so prevailing in our culture when I first started doing it, so you were kind of like a championing
A whole culture
It's
of
like people
opening
were
doors.
exposing, and it's still sort of, a lot of the stuff I pitch just tends to be, they say, a little too inside, like specialized, like the general reader.
They want gateway articles.
Right, yeah.
Gateway
so
beer
you're
articles.
like, the blue moon of articles of just getting yourself into craft beer and trying to, realize you have readers from all geographic.
That's interesting. It seems like that wouldn't have as much of an opportunity to, say, be a viral thing or to get shares by the heads, right?
Right, yeah. So if you're, trying to write about a specific new exciting hop, no one, there's, and there's been some good
Not me. I'll pour over it.
Right, exactly. And if you're a Paste magazine or a Draft mag or someone, whose readership, they're interested in those, or who
Right.
owns what brewery, and
Right.
and some of those can get there. But I think if you kind of make it a news story, like Oscar Blues made drinking water for Flint, Michigan, the people of Flint, and they canned water there to help. And doing stories like that is sort of where you can use your contacts in the craft brewing industry and try to get a story out there of someone who's doing good and relate it to a newsworthy event.
How has writing about beer changed how you consume it, or buy it, or approach it? From my standpoint, let me clarify.
Yeah.
From my standpoint, like if I really want to learn something about a thing, I'll like write about it because I question my belief system in the process of writing. Right? Like I question what I really think about something, and I'm forced to research something so I don't look like an ass. Like, like I learn more about myself in the process of writing about a topic than, or as much about myself as I do about the actual subject matter itself. And the conclusion that I wanted to come to may not be the same conclusion I may not come to the same conclusion I wanted to come to in that process, right? Often because I have this weird way of writing backwards. But so that's what I mean. Like if I was writing about beer, my thought would be it would change how I approach it as a consumer just because I will have thought about it a lot more.
Yeah.
So has that?
I mean, I don't think necessarily it's changed my view. I mean, it's changed my view on the people of craft beer, like getting the community, like becoming more involved with the community. Like I've had my preconceptions and I've always loved and championed craft beer, but getting to know the people that brew the beer and to tell their stories or try to tell their stories, I think is always trying to amplify them, and just everyone in craft beer are, 98, 99% asshole free. And, just learn that every day. You just meet someone else who's just, it's their passion and you get inspired by them. And, I get inspired by other people and telling their stories and learning about them. And it kind of helps me grow and like learn more about craft brewing and expose myself to different new styles. And
I don't think everyone sees how brotherly the community can be at the lower and the mid levels. Like, outside of, other than the hopheads, like they see it and they love that, and they see the collaborative beers and they chase them down, but they may not necessarily share that information. So like people who are reading CNN.com probably aren't going to see that, right?
yeah.
So cool.
Yeah.
Cool. So anything coming up, anything we should watch for?
As far as beer writing, as long as their current president is still there, probably not. That's going to be coming out, but I keep working every day and trying to,
Isn't there that Trump Putin collaboration beer coming out? It's like a Russian stout.
Well, I mean,
Russian Imperial stout.
Anything that's going to be a bit of a lightning rod from a popular culture standpoint. I mean, we could be at war, and that's going to be a different thing that's going to dominate headlines, right? It could be some mass shooting or some terrible event that happens that just dominates headlines for a little while. And when you've got that, happens repetitively, it's going to be hard for
and that's
12 best summer beers to get, any space.
Consuming a lot of...
You just can't get the editorial time, right?
Right. Yeah, and it's consuming this... I'm a editor producer by day there, so that kind of consumes...
They're like, get back to work, Mr. Editor producer.
The time to...
You want to talk about beer? There's work to be done.
This water I have on
right.
Wastewater story that I want to work on. So
wastewater. That's a deep subject.
Yeah, but again, probably too inside.
Too esoteric.
Yeah, but just keep plugging away, and there's they're doing more travel and trying to utilize some video elements to the story, visual elements, and
it
seems there's like an expanding CNN travel section. So hopefully that's the avenue.
That's going to be the opportunity.
Yeah.
Now you need to do some beer travel.
Exactly.
Like Jason.
Yeah.
All Jason does is beer travel. I'm traveling next week. What up?
Yeah. Where are you
going?
going?
To Massachusetts, bro.
Massachusetts? Is there any good beer up there?
I've heard they may be.
I think we talked about that on the last podcast.
Pioneering a style. No, yeah, they're. I'm excited to get up there. I've got a lot of family up there.
It's like
and I try to get my daughter to her grandmother's house once a year, and
such a good boy.
I'm looking forward to. I want to hit Jack's Abbey. I want to hit Trillium. I want to hit Treehouse. I want all the classics.
Oh.
Even my buddies at Wachusett.
Next month's podcast should be really good.
Hopefully.
We lost some good stuff to drink, that's for sure.
Every episode's been better than the one before it.
Yeah.
Everyone.
That's very true.
We're getting better. We're practicing. Yep. This is practice.
This is practice.
At Greg's expense. So, speaking of that, Jason, the whale hunter, I wrote in our notes, Jason, beer whale hunter.
Ahoy, matey!
Exactly. Well,
there be whales.
I think I want to put up a photo of your beer collection, your beer wall, for in like show notes. I don't know if I can put a photo in all of the show notes in every platform, but I'll put it on our. You all right over there? I'll put it on the Facebook page.
Yeah,
and people can see it there and really get an appreciation, because it dawned on me that you often refer to the beer that you have on the shelves in the room in which we record and I don't know if we've applied enough context to it. And I just thought that maybe we could make that a little more two-dimensional.
Yeah, I agree. I'm happy to show that. Again, a lot of these beers have been, have been kind of procured along the way. Some of them I've had for a couple of years or more, and I share them with friends.
Right.
I'm a huge believer in sharing beers. I do trade some beers so that I can share, but I'm not a huge sharer just for the sake of sharing.
Like trader for sake of trading?
Yeah. No, I'm a,
because you're a big sharer.
I'm a sharer for I'm a trader for the sake of sharing.
Yeah.
Not a trader for the
sake
It's
all right. You didn't
sharing.
go to communication school.
Exactly. So a lot of this stuff, I'm just excited to share it with friends, and some of these things, like the Mocha Wednesday or things that my friends can't necessarily get, or the cycle brewing stuff. These are things that are a little more difficult to procure. So I'll post a picture of it. We'll post it on the notes and post it on Facebook. And if you got a favorite of that, or you have any questions, you can let us know. But I'll tell you what's really so as I look at my wall, look at a lot of the things I procured of whales and the things that are in the coolers, because I have 2 refrigerated coolers above, which have things like Cantillons and, Black Tuesdays and, Hunapoos and things like that. Right now, the biggest whales in craft beer are IPAs. So I'm talking about like Other Half's collections. I'm talking about Tired Hands milkshake IPAs, NoDajito from NoDa Brewing in Charlotte. I'm talking about Monkish Brewing. A lot of the whales that you see right now in craft beer, the things that people are really trying to get are IPAs. They're double IPAs. And so it's actually moved away from stouts into IPAs. Now, the challenge
in the secondary market?
Yeah. And the challenge for that, for somebody like myself, is that I don't drink a ton of beer, honestly, during the week. And so I need beers that will hold up for a period of time.
That's why they pile up in your house.
Yeah, exactly. And these IPAs obviously have to be, need to be drunk pretty fresh. Although, we just drank a Duende from Creature Comforts double IPA that's several months old. And honestly, like it tasted just as good as when it came off the line fresh. So, and we did watch that video that the Alchemist had put. We talked about it, and he talked about the freshness of IPAs. But by and large, most of these IPAs you want to drink really fresh, and so it's an interesting dynamic. People are chasing these whales, and then they're getting like 10 cases of Trillium and Treehouse, and what the heck are they going to do with all that beer? And they can't drink it before it goes
10 cases of IPA.
Yeah,
you're not going to drink that within the 2-week window of acceptable IPA consumption.
So you see people bringing these halls back, and I'm like, what in the world are they doing with it? And
I see that sometimes too. Like they must have dropped $200 at the bottle shop, which that's good. Great.
Yeah, I'm like, how much for one can? I know that, Greg just got back. He was at Tired Hands, and he brought a double strawberry milkshake IPA. And, those are great, and it's great to have those kind of one-off cans. But in my opinion, it looks like we're going to continue to see that trend towards these really special IPAs being the whales that people are getting. And Other Half in Brooklyn is really kind of leading a lot of that charge on the East Coast. They're coming up with these like cabbage, Brussels sprouts, macaroni and cheese, all these crazy flavored IPAs. The Vale Brewing in Richmond, Virginia, Master, Shredder, a lot of these crazy named IPAs. And I think we're going to continue to see that. As far as the secondary market goes, which you mentioned, again, you're still seeing a lot of these real heavy stouts doing really well on the secondary market. But honestly, you're starting to see a lot of people trading these really crazy, like, a 2-year Cantillon for two 4-packs of Trillium double dry hop Congress. It's kind of like, wow, man, you would have never seen that, 2 years ago, because obviously there's such a huge difference between a 2-3-year-old Cantillon and a fresh dry hopped IPA from a
that you need to
Northeast brewery
consume.
that you need to consume
Right away.
pretty fast.
Yeah.
And so it's an interesting shift in the secondary market. And but again, I do still see a lot of the stouts and stuff, a lot of the assassins, a lot of those big heavy stouts are still performing really well in the secondary market.
The demand for those remains fairly consistent.
Yeah.
But it's nice to see that there's, you know, ingenuity and creativity going on in the IPA space that maybe didn't have a lot for a little while. You had other styles explode, but then now IPAs are like, oh, let's be creative with flavors inside of IPAs.
I just thought about something. It's interesting because with stouts bouncing back and forth on the secondary market, and a lot of these stouts, you know, have seen 2 or 3 owners. You know, these Assassin from Toppling Goliath have seen 2 or 3 owners. But with IPAs, they don't bounce around like that because they need to be drunk fresh.
Yeah,
they've
got to be consumed fresh.
Yeah, they got to be consumed fresh. So those cans are taken off the market. Whereas with the stouts and some of the Belgians, they kind of bounce back and forth for several years. Mm-hmm. So that's interesting. I hadn't thought about that.
So what do you think about someone getting something off the secondary market and you don't know what the person did with, if it was refrigerated or if it was
what temperature they stored it at?
Was it hot? Was it cold? Was it hot? Was it cold? And then it was shipped to you. And then you open it up here in Georgia, a Trillium beer, and it's, you know, a month old. And how does a brewery feel if someone said this tastes horrible?
Well, we talked about that with Chris Herron.
Yeah, breweries
CEO.
are not crazy about
you have to
warrantying the quality of the beer.
Yeah.
In the secondary market.
Once it leaves their brewery, they have no control over it, but that doesn't mean they don't still care about the end result of it. And so from their perspective, trading is really good and it's acceptable. You have to remember there's a lot of people. I mean, I've traded with a lot of people for Creature Comforts Tropicalia to California.
They're torn on the idea because
they would never have had access to it, but
it's branding into a community where you don't distribute it and you're raising awareness, which is a positive, a net positive, right?
Yeah.
But they also lose control of the quality.
Right.
Because it's outside of the distribution network, and that's the part they're not crazy about.
Yeah, and as far as the quality goes, you know, a lot of the groups that I'm a part of, they do a lot of self-policing. So a lot of people have reputations and online reputations. People trade back and forth, and you'll see sometimes somebody will say, "Hey, has anybody traded with Jason?" And you'll see people chime in, "Yeah, I've traded with him. He's a good trader." So
yeah, but you don't want to give up a diseased bottle or something that has off flavors because it wasn't stored at the right temperature. You won't be able to trade in that group.
No. So there's a lot of self-policing that goes on in those groups. Those groups are pretty exclusive and private for obvious reasons, and they do a lot of self-policing. So I don't worry as much about it.
Yeah, they keep a pretty low profile in general. Even though they're on Facebook, they're still private and invitation only because it's not legal to ship in and out of every state.
Right.
And so just to cover their bases, they run a pretty high level of discretion in general.
Right. Due to tax laws, it's still illegal to ship beer across state lines. Each state wants to collect sales tax on it, which is kind of not necessarily fair because if I'm trading beer for beer, they've bought beer that they paid sales tax
for
on.
the one that they're
I
sending
paid sales tax on the beer. We're doing a swap. The tax has been paid, but they don't have any control over that, and they feel like it's moonshiners in the North Carolina mountains.
Complication over just another complication around the 3-tier system that obviously had its time when it was effective, and we're finding now that it's not particularly effective unless it's protecting someone who has a lot of distribution reach and doesn't want to give up any market share. Yeah. They'll do so begrudgingly. So if the 3-tier system can protect a corporation, then all of a sudden it's a good idea. But the minute it's oppressive on someone, it's a bad idea. So it's just one of those things that flips coins. So cool. Well,
what's the oldest bottle that you have over there?
Ooh, it's a good
I
question.
think the oldest bottle that I have
that you're still holding on to that I'll open this when.
It's really challenging because I share a lot of beers, and I'm very. Those who know me know that I'm more apt to just open up whatever, whenever. Just if somebody says, I've never had a Cantillon, and I have a Cantillon. I'm more apt to open it. It doesn't really matter what I was saving it for because I love to share that experience with people. So in terms of old goes, I think I have a 3-year-old Cantillon Classic Gose in there that I'm actually going to share with our friend Casey when we visit him on Saturday, because I felt like, here's a beer that this guy may never get to try outside of this experience. And man, for me, craft beer, there's nothing better in and about craft beer than sharing something with somebody that they wouldn't have been able to have otherwise. So I'm actually going to take that Cantillon. We're going to share it. You and I are going to share it with Casey. But that's probably the oldest thing I have, because again, I go through my stuff.
You get some Bourbon Counties.
Yeah, I've got some old Bourbon County stouts. I've got some old Black Tuesdays. I've got a 4-year vertical of Black Tuesday. I just opened up it was either a 4 or a 5-year vertical of Firestone Walker's Velvet Merkin, which we did.
Ooh, that's good. Yeah,
and that would have been the oldest that I had, but we just did that share a month ago.
Right,
and so
cool.
Yeah, that's it.
All right. Well, thanks for coming, Greg.
Thanks for having me. This is pretty fun.
Thanks for coming, Greg.
Cool. Yeah, we like it.
As you see, we just we sit and we talk craft beer.
It's pretty easy going.
Beer. And definitely share this podcast with your friends. Make sure they subscribe.
Yeah, what we don't have yet is comments in iTunes.
Yeah,
I've asked at the end of the episodes, last couple episodes, I've recorded a bumper, kind of a postcard, end card, if you will, at the end, and it's not working. So I think maybe we should just come right out on Facebook and say, please help us out by leaving a comment. I mean, positive and negative. I don't know if I necessarily care, but just give us some feedback. I mean, I know there are spots in which we suck, and there are areas in which we're improving. And then, in terms of being devilishly handsome, Jason has that in spades. So I think there are aspects of the show that work. Some people can see, some people can hear. Most people can't see, actually. I'll take that one back. But anyway, we're done.
Well, one more thing while I'm thinking about it. What's a beer out right now that you recommend for people that is accessible nationwide?
Nationwide?
Yeah, nationwide. I'm thinking about one right now. Prairie's Paradise.
That's available nationwide.
It's available nationwide.
No,
it is available nationwide. It's in Tulsa, and we have it here. It's also available in California. I actually bought some birthday bombs from Craft Shack in California, so I know that it's available nationwide. I'm just telling you that Prairie's Paradise, which is a coconut stout from them, is actually a really good beer that people should go buy right now. But what about you?
I don't know. I feel challenged a little bit by this because I know that most of the beer that's available nationwide is AB InBev. There aren't a lot of beers that are available nationwide that are not owned by them. But so I will say that if you get your Grammy paws on Dogfish Head's Sequential, is a solid lime Gose.
I heard that beer is actually scientifically proven to refresh you. It actually is. I read a report on it.
But they've got a couple of other beers that are my absolute go-tos for some stuff. And they're available nationwide. Like a couple of their beers are way up high on my all-time list that are, I believe they're all available nationwide or pretty close to it. Anytime I get my paws on a Stone Ruination, that's going to happen. And then they brought it back. It's Ruination 2 or something like that. And if you're feeling fruity, I'm going to be honest, the Rogue Voodoo series, you're taking a risk, but sometimes, boy, are you rewarded.
Man.
Sometimes you're taking a terrible risk. That one. But sometimes you're really rewarded. Like, Maple Donut was good, Raspberry was good, but that one they did with the candy this or that wasn't that good. So, it's a risk. It's a risk. Risk reward for $7.99. Come on.
Greg, what do you think?
You spent that much on a latte that didn't kick you in the butt.
I mean, I would go with Dogfish. If you're going nationwide, their 60 Minute, to me, was like one of the first beers that
No, staple IPA, man.
And also say Fat Tire is also that was my gateway beer. It was New Belgium's Fat Tire, and that's just
They've got a watermelon out right now. Watermelon and lime.
I'm going to add one.
Solid.
Actually, because right now is that season. That's Bell's Oberon.
Oh, yeah.
And Bell's Oberon is available
Can't support
nationwide.
that one.
What's that?
I can't support that one.
Oh, well, can't support Rogue.
It's all right.
Rogue's Voodoo donut
It's all right. It's good.
beers either. But Oberon is a pretty tasty, refreshing beer when it gets hot. And I know that it's available nationwide.
Yeah, it's good. A lot of people like the Prima Pills too.
Too hard.
A lot of people like Prima Pills too from Victory. I don't know if it's available nationwide.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
They did just
They're
release
close.
the new. They did just release the new.
I don't think it's a great Pilsner. I think it's a great beer. I don't think it's a great Pilsner.
Boulevard's Love Child too. I think it's Love Child number 8, which is a good beer too.
Anyway. Is Brooklyn the Sriracha Ace? Is that nationwide?
I'm sure it is. Brooklyn is. They're pretty. I
know they're well funded. I just don't know if they're in all 50 contiguous, but it seems like
I don't know if that particular one would be.
But
maybe there's
the Sriracha Ace. I'm here to tell you, that's some good drinking. For the money, that is some good drinking.
Is it the Ace of Base?
It's Sriracha Ace hop in an ale, and they use champagne yeast. It is.
Yeah, I don't see it on Craft Shack, which is based out of California. So
that's your go-to to know if it's in all 50 states. You check one shop in California, and that tells you whether or not you can get it in Milwaukee.
Yeah. There's also Best Damn.
They probably don't have New Glarus, and everybody in Milwaukee's going, "What are you talking about?"
Now, if I could buy New Glarus nationwide, that answer would be easy because it'd be serendipity all day long.
They got that raspberry.
They also have the strawberry rhubarb.
That one's good. I've had that one. It's really
incredible.
Yeah, it's amazing.
I wish that.
But we can't get it because they're not available in Georgia. So you got to trade for it. You got to trade for it
anywhere
or anywhere. All right. Look, we're an hour in. Let's call it.
It's good.
Right, cool.
That's a wrap.
Thanks for coming, Errol. Thanks to Greg.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
Thanks to Jason.
Thanks, Wayne. You're the best.
We'll do it.
Thanks, audience, for listening.
Peace.
Don't forget to subscribe.
Yeah, subscribe. Leave a comment. That would be amazing. Just get one comment. Oh, Wayne, you smell like garlic. All right. See, if you got that through the podcast, then that'd be pretty solid. If you have a question or something you would like us to discuss, drop us an email, sip@lastbeershow.com, or hit us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook @The Last Beer Show. A reminder that we are proud members of the ABV Network. Go to abvnetwork.com to see all the amazing podcasts, or go to your podcast app of choice, search for something like The Last Beer Show, The Firewater Review, The Bourbon Daily, among others. And if you really want to have a good time, go to Instagram and follow the hashtag ABV Network Crew. There's always all kinds of stuff happening on there, and it's a lot of fun. So anyway, thanks for listening. Peace. Oh, wait. One more thing. Please do us a solid and go to iTunes, rate the show. We would be extremely grateful. Thank you very much. Thanks again for listening.